back, everybody. It is hour 2 of Through the Mirror with Larry Sinclair on the Rense Radio Network. Joining us for the first half hour of the second hour is Mrs. Sarah Stern. Ms. Stern is actually associated with the Endowment for Middle East Truth. She's had a lengthy record and history of advocacy for the State of Israel and the Jewish people. Right after the Oslo Accords had been signed, she'd been contacted by 3 former Israeli diplomats who had worked in the embassy in Washington under the reign of Prime Minister Yitzhak Shamir. Ms. Stern, welcome to the program.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
You know, I'm going to have to ask you, tell me what you see taking place in Israel with the recent unrest between Israeli and Hamas forces in Gaza. Is this ceasefire going to hold, or is it going to blow up into something even bigger?
I'm afraid it is not going to hold. I think the Palestinian forces within Hamas are just going to regroup. The Israel Defense Forces, the IDF, did knock out about 90% of the Fajr 5 that are the long-range missiles that come from Iran that could reach almost every city in Israel from the Gaza Strip. But they are, I'm sure Hamas felt the blow and they wanted the ceasefire to regroup. But this is what they call a little hudna, which means time to regroup.
Well, let me ask you something else. There's been some talk that Hezbollah in southern Lebanon is now making threats.
Yes, Hezbollah has been, Sheikh Nasrallah of Hezbollah has been making threats. Unfortunately, over the last almost 20 years of the Oslo Accord, where Israel had tried in good faith to trade land for peace within that region of the world, it was perceived as weakness. And when Israel withdrew from Lebanon in September of 2000, from southern Lebanon, again, that was looked upon as a victory for Hezbollah. Now, unfortunately, there are so many radical elements that have been lined up against Israel. It's not the same kind of, we're not looking at the same kind of map that we were before the Arab Spring. Unfortunately, most of the people in the Arab world who went to the polls, they were able to substitute temporarily, at least, bullets for ballots, and they voted in very, very radical Islamist regimes. And Israel is more isolated than it's ever been in my lifetime. So this is very scary. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Oh, no, you're fine. I apologize for interrupting you. I wanted to ask you, there's people that will turn around and argue that, okay, Israel's the aggressor here. And unfortunately, we have this in every situation. I myself am not going to be one of those people because I can't tell you what Israel's doing or not doing in that region because I'm not there. And I'm one of those people, I don't necessarily believe everything I see coming over a television screen anymore. I do know that we're going to have to come up with something to where Palestinians and Israelis are going to be able to live without having mortars end up in somebody's, bedroom.
Exactly.
I believe that this most recent violence is the first that I remember in any recent history anyway, to where a mortar shell was fired on Jerusalem.
Right. I agree with you. I could not agree with you more. I would love there to be 2 states living side by side in peace and democracy. But in order for that to exist, there has to be someone on both sides of the negotiating table that want exactly that peace and that don't see each piece of land ceded as just a strategic step on their way to all of Israel. For the last, God knows, 2 decades, I have been receiving information about what is in the Palestinian media and what is on their textbooks and how they absolutely brainwashed these beautiful little Palestinian children to think that the entire map of Israel will be theirs. In fact, last time I was over in Israel, I picked up a map in the West Bank entitled Palestine, and it was the familiar triangular-shaped map of Israel, and they just substituted all the Hebrew names with Arab names. And, this, as long as they teach their children that eventually this whole map will be theirs, and as long as they teach them that there won't be two states, then this is going to continue. But unfortunately, people have not really appreciated the value of words and ideas, and they don't pay attention to what people are saying on the ground, to what they're teaching their children, to what's in the media. Once we stop that, then I think there will be a chance, but it might take another generation. And it's very, very
let me ask. The Endowment for Middle East Truth.
Mm-hmm.
You're a co-founder of this?
Yeah, I'm the founder.
You're the founder of it. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's been in operation for how long now?
7 years.
7 years.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do when you have people that tell you that everything people are saying about what's taking place in Gaza or the West Bank is just fodder for Israel? How do you explain to people that it's not something that's being made up? This is what's really happening. It's
right.
Because you have the Associated Press reporter who insisted that the State Department actually answer his question about Turkey's comments about Israel being a terrorist country or a terrorist state.
Mm-hmm.
How do we move beyond that? Because, like I said, you've got people who will argue until they're blue in the face.
It's very, very hard. I mean, we know. I mean, fortunately or unfortunately, I have a daughter that's put her life on the line and lives there, and she's married to another American who's in the IDF.
Okay.
And they see this. I have another son in Israel who's in medical school there, and they're in Beersheba. And for the last several months, they have been hearing booms of missiles on, in Beersheba in southern Israel. And it was a wonderful, wonderful Jewish carpenter named Jesus Christ who said, "The truth shall set you free." And I really do believe that most Americans appreciate the truth. And we bring in people from Israel to the U.S. Congress. We have seminars every month. And we tell them, we show them videos of what's going on, because that's the only way. And I just feel that we just have to tell the truth, but it's very difficult. And I'm feeling like the universities have been so bought out by the Saudis, and there's $20 million that they gave to Georgetown, $20 million to Harvard, $10 million to University of Arkansas, and they all feel that the Palestinians are the David and Israel's the Goliath, and most young people graduate with that narrative. So we're fighting against a very, very strong propaganda machine and public relations machine. I wrote a book entitled Saudi Arabia and the Global Islamic Terrorist Network, America and the West Fatal Embrace. And that book describes how the Saudis have bought so much PR, and they bought think tanks in Washington, and they have been very, very smart about how they've used their petrodollars. And unfortunately, we cannot match them dollar for dollar, but we can tell the truth. That's all we've got is the truth. And
maybe. Okay, I was going to say maybe, and maybe I'm just thinking a little too simplistic at this point, but maybe we need to figure out a way to get to the point to where we stop looking at either side as being David or Goliath.
Right.
And looking at both sides as being human beings, as if you're looking at your next door neighbor across the street or right next door to you. And try to imagine what you would feel like if you were sleeping and all of a sudden a rocket mortar blew up in your bedroom.
Exactly. It's really interesting because I had a very wonderful talk with someone who's my adopted son. His name is Mossab Hussein Yosef, and his father was the founder of Hamas. And he wrote this brilliant book called Son of Hamas. And he actually had worked for Israeli intelligence, came over to the United States, and wrote this book, and they wanted to send him back to Ramallah where he would have been killed. Also, he converted to Christianity, so he would have had a double bullet on his back because, not only did he work for Israeli intelligence, but anybody who converts away from Islam to Christianity is considered an apostate and is supposed to get the death penalty according to Islam. So, I had worked really hard to get him political asylum in this country, and I just had a talk with him this morning, and I said to him, I hope the day will come where your relatives in the West Bank in Gaza, because he still has lots of nieces and nephews, will be able to play with my future grandchildren in Israel, and we'll be, one has to have empathy. But, if Israel were to stop fighting back, there would be no Israel. If the Palestinians would stop hurtling rockets, then we'd have peace. And that's
right. I was gonna ask you, I know the gentleman you're referring to. I believe Sean Hannity had him on last year.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I definitely. Right. Oh, I would love to have him on the program.
I could get him to come on for you if you'd like. He calls me Mama because here I am, his Jewish mother, and I thought he was a hero, and I always asked myself, if the shoe were on the other foot, would I have the courage to speak out? I mean, he saw what was going on within Hamas, and he actually went to prison for a short while for some little activity he was in when he was 16 years old, and he saw how members of Hamas would beat up skinny members of Hamas or Fatah who weren't well connected, didn't have wealthy or powerful families, and call them collaborators with Israel. And he constantly, and he said, there's something within our culture that makes us want to be violent. And he actually found a lot of solace and a lot of wisdom within Christianity and converted to Christianity. And he says to me, these are his words, not mine, I gave up the God of hate for the God of love. And he's just a beautiful, beautiful person. I mean, I really wish that, Christianity would spread throughout the radical Muslim world, and then we would have no problem today. But these are wonderful values.
Right. Well, see, I also think that he puts a face on what I was just suggesting, and that is that we need to stop looking at the two sides as a David versus Goliath and start looking at both sides as human beings. And I think that, and this was one of the things that I really enjoyed in watching him on Hannity, you're talking about someone who, unlike myself or many others in this country, we cannot sit here with any authority and tell you or anyone else what it's like to live in Gaza or the West Bank, or what it's like to be in Tel Aviv or Jerusalem.
That's right. That is totally right. And I'm looking, in fact, every single year, my think tank / policy shop, the Endowment for Middle East Truth, finds these incredibly wonderful, rare specimens of what it really takes to be a great human being, and they arise above their circumstances, and I don't know how they reach down inside and they find the courage to tell the truth about radical Islam and the hatred that they've been brought up with, and every single year we honor them. And it's been wonderful because they come and they sit around my Sabbath table. We're traditional Jews, and I've become really good friends with these people, and they're just tremendous examples of what it takes to be truly human. And they have this empathy that they could get outside of themselves. Plus, they risk their very lives. They all have fatwas on their heads. And we've honored people like Noni Darwish, Brigitte Gabrielle, Wafa Sultan, Dino Baran, Farid Gadri. These are all Walid Farid, Shafiq Hamid, and every year I find people, Ayan Hirsi Ali. So there are wonderful, wonderful Muslims and Arabs out there who are just tremendous examples of courage. But it's very, very hard because I, as a Jew, can't criticize from the outside and say, and I do have, a dog in this fight. I have children living over there, and I care passionately for their survival and for my children's survival. I'm like a mama tiger trying to protect my baby cubs over there. But these people are totally objective, and they're just fabulous. And I think it might take like a reformation from within Islam. It has to be changed from within. I can't believe that we, sitting on the outside, can tell them, to stop, this hatred.
See, I think what you're talking about goes back to something that I've brought up on this program with many other guests, because I hear the word Zionist, tossed about on a regular basis, whether it's on the news, whether it's coming out of Egypt or even here in the U.S. And I had a friend of mine who explained to me that what he defines as anti-Zionist, and he explained that it's not the religious faith, it's not the Jewish people, that it's the money behind it. And you just said you can't do this, from the outside. You do have a dog in this fight. So my question to you is, how do we get people to understand that there's just some terms that you can't use, or how are we going to define these things? Because, look, not 5 minutes before you came on the program, I noticed that somebody on Twitter actually referred to this radio program as being anti-Semitic, which I thought was somewhat interesting. But
that's interesting. You wouldn't have me on if you were anti-Semitic. Right.
I wouldn't have you and a whole bunch of other people on if I was anti-Semitic. But you understand what I'm saying.
I understand what you're saying, yeah.
And
there are too many labels. I know what you're saying. We just have to look at people as human beings, and we need just empathy. And I think, the truth is that we're, unfortunately, for Israel, it's survival. There are so many, I know there are so many Peace Now groups and just wonderful, very liberal, compassionate groups that would like to give away everything just to be able to survive, but it has to be perceived on the other side as a sign of strength. But when there are people that want to overrun you, it's just not going to work. And I hope that one day there will be a Peace Now movement within the Arab world that will be willing to accept Israel's existence and just put down their guns as well.
Well, we've only got a couple of minutes left, and I know you can only do the first half hour, but I was going to ask you, how are we going to get to that point, or at least when it comes to Israel and Gaza and the West Bank? We've had so much turmoil in the Middle East in just the last 2 years alone.
Right.
It doesn't seem like we're moving away from radical Islamic Sharia law type governments. It seems like we're moving more towards even more of them.
That's right. I'm not quite sure. I think that for the time being, Israel is going to have to hunker down and survive. They're going to have to, keep up a very, very brave front, because, and let's hope that, we can change. I've been trying to work on Capitol Hill, trying to expose what's being written in the textbooks, not only in the Palestinian, among the Palestinians, but among most of the Arab world, where they're, the stuff that they're feeding their children is so it makes the protocols of the elders of Zion, under Strimmer that the Nazi regime put out is very mild. And, as long as they entrench children in a steady diet of hatred, this fighting and this violence is going to go on. But, I think, just if we're going to pick up the purse strings, as we do, America spends so much money each year, or gives, $1.5 billion a year to Egypt, $1.3 billion to the Palestinian Authority, $1.5 to Israel. All of this money, I think, should be predicated upon peace, education, and tolerance. To me, that's the long-term solution.
Mrs. Stern, I want to thank you for coming on the program and hope to have you on again when we can keep you on longer. And please keep that in mind. I would love to have the gentleman on because I think he definitely puts a face on a human tragedy as opposed to looking at it as a David and Goliath. Thank you so much. And your website again is the Endowment.
Right. It's www.em as in Mary ET online. That's one word. www.emetonline.org.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay. Take care. Bye-bye.
Uh-huh. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the bottom of the hour. You are listening to Through the Mirror with Larry Sinclair on the Rense Radio Network. And despite what was just put out on Twitter about 15 minutes ago, we're definitely not anti-Semitic or anti-anything else. But we will be back after this brief break.
Charlie McGrath of Wide Awake News here with an important message from Chris, Phil, Russ, Tyler, and the rest of the folks at BuyEmergencyFoods.com. Do not wait until it's too late to be prepared for disaster. The world's a crazy place. Ever-present threat of man-made political and economic crisis makes it important to be prepared. But when you factor in natural disasters, it goes from being important to being mandatory. 7.7 earthquake in Canada, 6.5 earthquake in Central America, and over 50 million Americans affected by Hurricane Sandy, all in the span of just a few days. Make Legacy Premium freeze-dried storable food part of your preparedness plan today. Legacy Premium tastes great, has a 25-year shelf life, and is the only certified non-GMO freeze-dried storable food in the business. I recommend the 360-serving package. That's 120 days worth of life-sustaining calories for about $1.25 a serving. Please call them at 888-543-7345. Again, 888-543-7345, or better yet, visit them online at buyemergencyfoods.com.
American Masters Painting, a family-owned and operated business beautifying homes in Northern Virginia for over 30 years. American Masters craftsmen serve all of your painting, staining, and wood refinishing needs. American Masters not only guarantees to deliver satisfying results, they also promise a positive, rewarding, and personalized experience to your complete satisfaction. American Masters Painting is recognized for its flawless expertise in all custom interior and exterior projects. For a free and timely estimate, contact American Masters Painting toll-free at 888-760-7760 or visit AmericanMastersPainting.com. And remember, when you're thinking American Masters Painting, you're thinking one family serving another, one project at a time. American Masters Painting is a proud sponsor of Through the Mirror with Larry Sinclair on the Rense Radio Network.
You're listening to the Rense Radio Network, coast to coast on the Galaxy 19 KU band satellite, nationwide and worldwide on the internet, and of course, on Rense.com.
Are chemtrail geoengineering programs changing our weather and destroying our environment? Why in the world are they spraying?
They want to create a storm in the southeast, then they'll start engineering out over the North Pacific. That's where the tragedies will be.
Find out why critics are calling Why in the World Are They Spraying the most important film that is revolutionizing the environmental movement.
It's just going to get worse until the point where we're not going to be able to grow anything at all unless it's a Monsanto genetically modified, abiotic stress resistant seed.
Why in the world are they spraying? New international version with languages available from around the world. For 1 month, Rinse listeners receive free shipping. Go to the banner on the front of the Rinse website and click on the link for more info.
It's all about money, and weather is another form of commoditizing, a way the Central Command Group can commoditize another form of our life.
Why in the world are they spraying?
And if you control the weather, you're going to control the planet. It's that simple.
Will 2012 bring the Mayan end of world or the global banking collapse? In 2007, one man, Mike Dillard, made 5 predictions which forecasted the 2008 economic crisis and the pending Eurozone collapse. This week, Mike unleashes 3 brand new, shocking, must-watch videos with predictions for the coming year. www.the3videos.com. Over the past year, Mike Dillard has helped thousands of ordinary people create and recover wealth by tapping into the black box investing strategies the big banks don't want you to know about. www.the3videos.com. As the European banking system implodes and governments collapse at breakneck speeds, the next 12 months will be the most anticipated and important months in modern human history. This will make 2008 look like a walk in the park. Everyone will be affected. Go to www.the3videos.com now. Learn how to prepare your family and prosper during the global financial collapse.
You're my soldier boy, a man amongst men. You're my soldier boy, a man amongst men. You're my soldier boy, a man amongst men.
And welcome back, everybody. You know, what struck me, and I wanted to tell Ms. Stern about the tweet that I had seen just before we brought her on the program, because it is absolutely hilarious that the very same people who launched their at least 2 of their successful, according to them, operations or organizations, they launched them on this radio program. But it seems that Twitter has become the location in which to attack and try to smear people, because what you can do is you can block other people from seeing it. So as long as you don't put the tag and the person's Twitter handle, you can use their name all day long and tweet all day long, which is apparently what Ali Akbar and Robert Stacey McCain has been doing. Ali Akbar declared this radio program to be anti-Semitic and even put up a picture on Twitter that he took from Rense.com that's one of Rick D's illustrations, or one of D's illustrations. Well, it seems that Akbar only believes that the First Amendment applies to those who kiss his you-know-what. This radio program has never been anti-Semitic or anti-anything else. In fact, I have had Jeff Renz on this program and asked him point blank to explain to me the difference between anti-Zionist and anti-Semitic. And I think he did a perfectly good job of doing just that, which is something that I just mentioned to Ms. Stern. Whereas it's not about the Jewish religion or the Jewish people, it's about the money that influences some in the Jewish culture, and that's fine. Jeff is entitled to his opinions and beliefs, just as you and I are. However, I'm only bringing this up now because it just so happened, and I swear this happened without any planning on my part. I just happened to get a tweet from someone who every now and then retweets something to my attention so that it comes across my cell phone. And it seems that Robert Stacey McCain and Ali Akbar have been trying to defame and libel and slander, or whatever you want, whatever words you want to use, smear the Rense Radio Network and this radio program today. And they do it on Twitter because, see, they're like little sissies. They like to sneak up from behind and throw something at you and run before you realize that they did it. Well, I sent Ali Akbar and Robert Stacey McCain, and those of you who read SinclairNews.net will know this as well, but I sent them a link to what those of you who have been with me from the very beginning know what we refer to as the cesspool. When Mr. Akbar decided he wanted to go on Twitter and try to talk about me, I sent him a link and told him, you know what, I'll even save you the trouble. Here's one site you can go to and get all the dirt that people have been trying to throw about that hasn't been able to stick in 4+ years. Well, it seems that today they decided to start using and retweeting stuff from the cesspool. Now these, I want to point out something. Robert Stacey McCain is doing this, and remember, Mr. McCain claims that he is a seasoned, experienced, neutral journalist who worked for 10 years for the Washington Times and is a paid contributor to the American Spectator. But yet this seasoned journalist is retweeting a bunch of garbage that he can't even source on Twitter, which doesn't bother me because I'm the one that sent them the link, hoping that they would prove me right, which they did today. See, these people don't care about honesty. They don't care about integrity. They don't care about truth. They don't care about anything other than protecting their own little scams and making everybody that has stopped sending them money think that they're under attack by the liberal left and some crazy kook named Larry Sinclair who decided to jump on the bandwagon with the liberal left. No. See, it's about truth. See, what Ali and Stacey don't seem to understand is if I was afraid of all the garbage that was published by the cesspool, why on earth would I ever have sent them the direct link to it? But they're so ignorant and they're so consumed with their own self-importance. They're so consumed with making everybody think that they are God and that they walk on water and that they are the light, that they go out there and do exactly what they have been suckering people out of money for since the beginning of this year, claiming they're trying to stop. Now, thankfully, and I must admit, even though I wasn't planning on even broaching this subject again on the website, but of course, what has been put out there today by Robert Stacey McCain, a.k.a. Ali Akbar's new masculine hangout bud, and Ali Akbar on Twitter, makes it worthy of pointing it out. And the reason it does is because these are people that for 9 months have been swearing that they've been under attack and that everything said about them is untrue and that they're above it all because they're journalists. We'll see just how much of a journalist they are. You're listening to Through the Mirror with Larry Sinclair on the Rinse Radio Network. We'll be right back.
Heart-related health problems affect millions of people each year. Maybe you're one of the many who suffer from issues related to angina pain, high blood pressure, congestive heart failure, unbalanced cholesterol, irregular heartbeat, or clogged arteries. There is a solution that doesn't involve expensive prescription drugs that only mask the problem and leave you with horrible side effects. If you are ready to live your life free of sickness, pain, and fear, live your life with increased vitality, energy, and youthfulness, and experience your body healing itself, then you're ready for Heart and Body Extract from Healthy Hearts Club. Heart and Body Extract has a 23-year proven track record of using certified organic herbs that make up an excellent formula to balance and support the heart and circulatory system. In as little as 2 weeks, you can feel amazing results when your 2-month supply of Heart and Body Extract today. Call 1-866-295-5305 or go to hbextract.com.
If you're taking 1, 2, 5, or more nutritional supplements, please stop. Simplify your supplementation with Bio Superfood, the most advanced nutritional whole food supplement you can buy. Men, women, children, even Olympic athletes the world over have discovered Bio Superfood from BioAge.com. And now take just one nutritional supplement instead of many. The Bio Superfood formulas are whole food products composed with 4 of the most nutrient-dense algae found on Earth. Bio Superfood for the brain helps with focus, memory, clarity, and mood. If you can increase brain health, the rest of the body is a no-brainer. Bio Superfood has 0 toxicity and is safe for you and your family. Learn more and order your Bio Superfood formulas at BioAge.com, spelled BIOAGE.com, BioAge.com, or call 877-288-9116. That's 877-288-9116. BioAge, the age of advanced organics.
You know, sometimes just when I think I'm not going to get another laugh out in the day, I start cracking up. You know, to hear people run around and tell everybody how politicians don't know what they're doing, how you need to get behind a certain person. This is what Robert Stacey McCain and Ali Akbar have been doing for several years now. They've been traveling around the country on money from Americans for Prosperity and money that they have gotten through using Michelle Malkin to call for contributions, claiming that it was for a Breitbart Scholarship Fund and a National Bloggers Club Legal Defense Fund for Aaron Walker, Eric Erickson, Stacey McCain, Lee Stranahan, Brandon Darby, the whole group. For more than a year now, these guys have been screaming on their websites and on Twitter that they are the victims of vicious harassment, threats, intimidation, and attacks, and they've had to move out of their houses. Robert Stacey McCain was forced to move out of a house that was supplied to him and his family because his wife worked on the school property of a private school in Maryland. Robert Stacy McCain was not forced to move out, nor was his wife forced to leave because of something that somebody called the school and said. It was because of what Robert Stacy McCain was publishing online. And the school had to make a determination if his activities were jeopardizing their organization, which it was. But see, Stacy McCain doesn't seem to understand that. He doesn't feel that what he was doing by calling people out and making allegations against people that he couldn't back up was in any way whatsoever jeopardizing the school or its student body, because he wasn't employed by the school, but yet he lived there. He lived there free of charge. It goes back to what our sources who know Stacy McCain quite well, when we did the piece describing Stacy as a leech extraordinaire. Anita Moncrief was nice enough to tell us that Stacy McCain even asked her to travel with him to Iowa and Ohio and for her to rent a car for him. We have other elderly individuals who say that Stacy call up and say that he needed money to go to this event or that event, and then they send him the money, and then he turn around and tell him that something came up, he couldn't go, only to tell another friend that he was going to be there, but don't tell the friend that sent me the money because, I need to get some more. Or show up and say, oh, can I come by and take a nap in your hotel room, only to show up with your suitcases in hand and say, where's my key? Or let's see, bringing a group of people down to the bar in the hotel, acting like you, big spender and big super reporter, and charging people's drinks on your friend's hotel room without her knowledge or consent, only to be told not to do it again, only to turn around and lie to the woman's face and say that you didn't do it when she stood right there and watched you do it. See, Stacy, see, Ollie, whatever you get from the cesspool, you get because I sent you that link. I sent you that link because I wanted to prove to everybody that you really are just a snake in the grass. You talk and you go to these organizations like AFP, FreedomWorks, and you talk about being someone of integrity and character, but you're not. And what you did today, by finally using the link I sent you, which I knew you were going to use, it was just a matter of time. Sucker! You did it. See, none of that stuff, none of it, none of that stuff is going to scare me or make me back off of you or the fact that you're a bunch of lying hypocrites. None of that stuff is going to stop us from continuing to do this program. And the reason it's not is because, well, it's old news, buddy. And let me just tell you this. Homie, don't play that. That's right. See, I sent you the link because I knew you would prove to me that all of this character that you talk about having and all of this journalistic experience that both of you tweet about and how you don't know what it is about people who claim to be journalists and have had no formal training. Well, Ollie, you've had no formal training, and it definitely shows. And Stacy, for all the journalistic training that you claim to have, you just threw that all out the window by doing today. Let's see, in June 1996, while still in prison, Larai Avila filed for a name change. Well, you're right, Stacy, but if you had gone back and looked at what I myself put out more than 5 years ago, or about 5 years ago, you're right. See, I was born Lawrence Wayne Sinclair on September 26, 1961 in Camden, South Carolina. But you, being the journalist that you are, didn't bother to look that little piece of information up. In 1980, I filed for a legal name change in the state of Arizona in the Pinal County Superior Court from Lawrence Wayne Sinclair to Larai A. Silvas. Not because I was trying to hide anything. In fact, my record was under my name. Both names, because I did a legal name change. In 1983, I changed my name legally again in the Pinal County Superior Court in Florence, Arizona, from Larai A. Silvas to Larai Vizcarra Avila. Both name changes, I might add, were not done as you and Ali claim to hide my past, because both name changes were effectively registered with the Social Security Administration and the Internal Revenue Service, just like they would be if I had been female and had actually married someone and my name changed. I would file those documents. See, I did those legal name changes because of relationships that I was in. But wait a minute. If you had read my book or bothered to read anything that I've put out about myself from day one, you would already know that. So much for journalistic value, huh? Or journalistic character. Or for that matter, journalistic integrity or experience. Now, and yes, Robert Stacy McCain, in 1996, prior to my father passing away, I did indeed file in the district court in Fremont County, Colorado, in Canyon City, to change my name from Larai Vizcarra Avila back to my legal birth name, Lawrence Wayne Sinclair. Legally. And I published the name change in the newspaper, 3 consecutive publications as required by law. Now, did that hide anything? Of course not. I'm still under the same date of birth and the same Social Security number. Social Security Administration was provided certified copies of each name change when it took place, as was the Internal Revenue Service. Now, before you go on Twitter again and make a complete idiot of yourself, please, when in doubt, go to the source. My phone number is 386-492-6634. Ali, you already know that. And the reason you know that is because you've got my phone number. See? And just like you got mine, hang on a second. I'm going to be the one.
This is Ali Akbar. Sorry I missed your call. Leave a message and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks.
Yes, Ali Akbar. Larry Sinclair. Just calling. We're talking about you on the radio program and the fact that you and Stacy McCain have been tweeting all kinds of stuff that I sent you a link to on Twitter today. You might want to listen to this evening's archived program for the second hour. When you want to talk about me, pick up the phone and call and ask me. See, you just proved that you're the biggest fraud that ever existed. Have a wonderful evening, Ali. We'll be seeing you soon. Now, see, that's what you do when you have a question. You pick up the damn phone and you call the person. But when you want to prove me right, and when you really want to show people what you're really made of, you go on Twitter and you tweet all kinds of garbage that you find that you don't bother to take 30 seconds to verify any of it. And you just tweet it around. Just like you tweet all these Photoshop photos. You know, today I feel good. I always have. But damn, sometimes idiots really make you feel good about what you do. If nothing else, this should teach Ollie and Stacey McCain and anyone else. I personally don't do anything in my life and then run and try to hide from it later. Never have and ain't gonna start now. But it is absolutely amazing to have people of such journalistic integrity go on Twitter and make complete asses of themselves. And on that note, guys, that's it for Through the Mirror with Larry Sinclair on the Rinse Radio Network for this Monday, November 26th, 2012. See you tomorrow. Until then, good night.
Ambition or dependency, who's gonna win this? Come on, raise your feather, man, I'm bent on missing. Cause the ambition fell into despair while dependency was chilling in his lazy chair, still collecting welfare. But the bitching that her life ain't fair. Hell yeah, or just a pretender. You gotta be the man. Stand up and defend us. Yeah, that was kicking down, watching them flash me surfing through the channel. Political pundits, all I see propaganda or integrity. Who's gonna win this? Come on, raise your feather, man, or bend on miss. It was a left, took integrity, got hit in the jaw. From the shot, heard around the world he never saw. Coming from a shout score. Looks like I picked another blood and lose out. Betting on the media will do that to ya. Are you a contender? Hell yeah. Or just a pretender? You gotta be the man.